Hello and welcome to News Now. I'm your host, Taylor Inman. We're going over the week's biggest headlines for Northwest Montana. The longtime groundskeeper of Kalispell's Conrad Memorial Cemetery and his son vanished earlier this year, disappearing with crucial records needed to sell burial plots and inner bodies. The C.E. Conrad Cemetery Association, which owns and operates the historic burial ground, has since sued James Jim Korn, the cemetery's sexton since 2002, and his son and assistant, Kevin Korn, for taking off with a trove of documents and equipment from the grounds. Neither the Korns nor the missing records have turned up as of press time. Attorneys representing the Cemetery Association filed a civil proceeding against the Korns in Flathead County Justice Court on August 13th. Stolen records included cemetery plot maps, plot sale index cards, log books, sale records, financial records, email addresses, office computers, and phones, according to a sworn written statement from Board of Trustees President Jeff Ellingson. The board is the association's managing body. Ellingson said in a statement that as a result, their ability to operate the cemetery business, including allowing grieving family members to lay their loved ones to rest at the cemetery, is at a standstill until the cemetery maps can be retrieved from the Korns. Without plat maps indicating which lots are available and which are already sold, the cemetery can't make new sales. Families either have to delay their burial arrangements until the records are found or find other cemeteries, according to Ellingson. At least 15 lot sales were lost as of June, and more are expected until the records are located. Board members told the Daily Interlake that Jim Korn was a trusted and reliable employee for over 2 decades. Korn was responsible for the upkeep of the cemetery, a landmark listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Established by Alicia Conrad following the death of her husband, Charles E. Conrad, it opened in 1903. Over 18,000 burial sites dot the 104 acres of rolling green hills and towering trees that provide a quiet escape from the bustle of the city that it overlooks. Ellingson said over the past year, Korn, who is in his 90s, had been experiencing some serious physical health issues that affected his work. Discussions about finding a successor have been ongoing for months, and the board hoped Korn would weigh in on the hiring process. But about mid-May, Ellingson learned that the keys to the office were missing. He testified in court that he deduced that Jim and Kevin Korn were the only people who could have taken the keys. By June 2nd, the board instructed the father, son, and their attorney to return the keys, which were put back on the evening of June 23rd, according to Ellingson. Ellingson and other maintenance staff opened the doors the next morning to find the office ransacked. 4 drawers of index cards identifying sold lots were missing from a floor-to-ceiling fire safe that contained other important documents, according to Ellingson's testimony. The internment index cards, which identify occupied lots, were still in the safe, but the stolen cards showed which unoccupied lots were reserved. Records were also stored on a computer in the office, but that was stolen too. Backup thumb drives, presumably left at Jim's residence, were nowhere to be found. The stolen items, which included printers, phones, and computers, were valued at $2,500, according to Ellingson. The last contact Ellingson had with Jim Korn was in a June 24th email. He had been urging Korn to return the records so the cemetery could continue selling lots. Korn wrote back that he'd respond to Ellingson's questions after speaking with his attorney. The Korns have since gone radio silent. The cemetery board reached out to the duo's friends, families, and their attorney, but without luck. The Flathead County Sheriff's Department searched several homes on August 26, but were unsuccessful in locating the Korns or the records, according to documents signed by Sheriff Brian Haino. The Korns have since been fired from the cemetery. Customers were directed to Adam Mills, managing partner of Johnson Gloshat Funeral Home, until Jeff Epperly was hired as the new sexton on September 1st. The cemetery's office is tucked on the ground floor of a small yellow cottage by the burial ground gates. The property is intended to be the sexton's residence, but Ellingson testified that Jim Korn rarely slept there because he and his son lived together in town. Board member Mark Hensley said that Jim Korn was passionate about his job and rarely took time off, which made his disappearance, along with the records, so perplexing. Because of Korn's age and trustworthy track record, Hensley speculated that Kevin Korn may be the brains behind the operation. Ellingson said he did not know why the Korns took off with the records. The younger Korn worked for the Cemetery Association for 6 or 7 years, and he was hired as his father's assistant to help with bookkeeping on the computers. Ellingson told the Interlake that Jim Korn always said that if anything happened to him, his son would be there to aid the cemetery. Attorneys argue that the cemetery is entitled to compensation from the Korns for losses incurred until the records are returned. If the records never get found, Ellingson told the Interlake that reconstructing the maps and determining plot sales is possible, but will be time-consuming and expensive. Ellingson said the cemetery is now transitioning to an online system. Despite all of this, he said the board does not intend to pursue criminal charges against the Corns. The nonprofit skatepark Serious Juju will remain open through the school year, thanks to an outpouring of community support. The indoor skate park was slated to close September 6 unless the organization recouped a $33,500 deficit created by the loss of outside funding sources. Over the course of a 3-week campaign, about 200 people gave one-time donations, and another 100 signed on as monthly contributors, resulting in a fundraising total of about $55,000. Operations manager and skateboarding coach Randy Beckstrom said the Flathead delivered, with the community showing that they care about programs for kids. More than 10,000 kids have attended skate sessions at Serious Juju since the nonprofit first opened its doors in 2007. Both the venue and organization's messaging have changed over the years, growing from a garage ministry to an independent secular nonprofit. Since 2021, Serious Juju has operated an indoor skate park at Gateway Community Center in Kalispell. The space includes a kitchen where meals are prepared and served free of charge 5 evenings a week, as well as a community space stocked with board games. Beyond its regular skate sessions, the organization partners with other nonprofits, including Miracle League, CASA for Kids, and the Center for Restorative Youth Justice, to offer special events for youth of all backgrounds and abilities. 11-year-old Theo Rickle Frank said he always liked the look of skateboarding, but it wasn't until 6 months ago that he took the leap and started attending regular skate sessions at Serious Juju. He said skating has made him braver and helped him approach new challenges with a positive mindset. When he heard Serious Juju might be closing, Rickle Frank said he was kind of annoyed because there are no other indoor skate parks in the area. He knew snow would soon close the region's outdoor parks, leaving him and his friends with no place to practice. Like many skaters, Rickle Franks did what he could to raise funds for Serious Juju. He spent a long, hot afternoon with Beckstrom in a parking lot outside the Northwest Montana Fair and Rodeo, collecting donations and parking fees from attendees. Half of the proceeds from that effort went to the United Way, which operates the parking lot, and half went toward the campaign to save Serious Juju. Other skaters knocked on doors in their neighborhoods or donated allowance money. The $55,000 raised during the effort will fund daily operations at the skate park through May 2026, according to Beckstrom. About 300 individuals contributed that sum, along with local businesses and organizations such as the United Way, the Hetzel Foundation, Whitefish Community Foundation, Bethlehem Lutheran Church, Canvas Church, Lifted Meds Dispensary, Montana Skate Park Association, Northwest Montana Association of Realtors Grant, Don K. Whitefish, Daybreak Rotary Kalispell, Flathead Oil, and Steam Mountain Games. Now, Beckstrom said the board is focused on building Serious Juju's long-term financial stability, ensuring that skaters across the Flathead Valley can continue to shred for decades to come. Mike Scallon brings years of experience and years of tacos to Hungry Horse's newest restaurant, Texan Jerry's Eatery. Scallon and his wife Andrea ran the kitchen at the Old Columbia Bar for years in Columbia Falls, heralding a reputation for good food and a much-celebrated weekly Taco Tuesday, a tradition that the pair carried over to Texan Jerry's Eatery this summer. The Hungry Horse restaurant, which owners Steve Aarons, Neil Curtis, Ted Thosen, and Jeff Johnson acquired last summer, opened at the beginning of July. The bar and grill, located next to Bob's General Store and the Hungry Horse Liquor Store, is operating on a limited menu for now, but still serving up dishes that people love. The name of the restaurant comes from 2 local legends, Tex and Jerry, freight horses who vanished in the winter of 1900 and 1901. They wandered the wilderness for a month until locals found them starving but still alive. Nicknamed the Mighty Hungry Horses, their story is the namesake for the town of Hungry Horse. Scallon described one taco featured on the recent Tuesday, made with braised and seared pork belly. The pork belly is braised in a citrus slurry topped with intentional toppings to highlight each unique flavor, including a watermelon and jicama salsa. Outside of the specials, Texan Jerry's Eatery limited menu consists of sandwiches and salads. Take the traditional club sandwich and make it Texan Jerry's way. It becomes a massive, hearty lunch or dinner time meal. 3 pieces of bread, a hefty serving of ham, turkey, and bacon, and loads of cheese, veggies, and mayonnaise. Right now, the most popular item is the Reuben sandwich, which Scallon says will most likely carry over to the expanded menu. It's a whopping tower of pastrami, Swiss cheese, and sauerkraut on grilled sourdough rye, smeared with Thousand Island dressing. It's the perfect bite of crisp bread and salty, tender meat with its own zesty tang. Scallon hopes to grow the menu into a classic bar menu, highlighting simple food that everyone loves, made well. From juicy burgers to spicy wings to flavorful sandwiches and fresh salads, the team behind Texan Jerry's Eatery looks forward to the future flavors they'll be able to provide. Scallon went to culinary school in Portland, where he met his wife Andrea. The pair moved to the Valley 15 years ago and have been operating the Columbia Bar's kitchen for around a decade before it closed. In early 2024, Neil Curtis, one of Tex and Jerry Eatery's owners, took over Bob's General Store, renting out all-terrain vehicles and side-by-sides. Steve Ahrens, another owner, said that while working late at Bob's with Curtis, there is often no place to get a bite to eat after work. That's how the idea of Tex and Jerry's Eatery came to be. When a restaurant space next to the general store opened up, the former Dandelion Eatery, it seemed like it was meant to be. The restaurant is not affiliated with a previous food truck called Tex and Jerry's that operated out of Quorum. It's open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day and plans to stay open through the winter. The restaurant has a large patio and stage that often hosts live music on the weekends. Scallon looks forward to expanding the menu and implementing more specials like a Sunday brunch or sports deals. At the end of the day, he said he just wants Tex and Jerry's Eatery to be a fun place to go, with good food, of course. Tex and Jerry's Eatery is located at 8942 US 2 East in Hungry Horse. For more information, visit texandjerrys.com. Thanks for joining us. News Now is a podcast from the Daily Interlake. We're proud to be the largest independent newsroom in Montana and the longest continuously published newspaper in the region. Today's stories were written by Daily Interlake reporters Jack Underhill, Kate Heston, and Haley Smalley. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode of The Pod. Everybody stay safe and have a great week. Thanks to our sponsor, Lauren's Auto Repair at 1309 US Highway 2 in Kalispell. Most consistently rated 5-star shop serving the Kalispell area. Visit laurensauto.com.